It was so bad that they took my childhood, my innocence, my trust, I didn't trust anyone, and my self-respect, and left me feeling like I was a lot less than anyone else. I was just never as good. But I always wanted more for myself. And I think for years, that feeling kept me from trying to achieve. I always felt like, you can't do that. You know, why should you believe that you're as good as that other person?
Yeah, when I was 4 years old, we lived in an apartment house, and my mother worked second, third shift. She used to leave me alone with anyone that she could find to watch me. And one particular elderly man that I remember got very friendly with my mother, and she used to leave me with him, and he ended up molesting me.
He was this, at first I thought, a sweet old man. You know, he used to tell jokes and make me laugh, and then I ended up spending time in his apartment, and it was no longer funny, and I was no longer laughing.
He told me that something terrible would happen if I said anything. I was only 4, so I didn't dare say anything. I kept quiet. We ended up moving when I was about 6 years old, and I never went back to that house, so he never bothered me again. My grandfather started to molest me, and he always threatened me that something terrible would happen to my mother. And you know, it's a funny thing, even though I didn't see much of her, I really loved my mom when I was a kid, and I didn't want anything to happen to her, so I didn't say anything to anyone. And that went on until I was about 14 years old. And I was always alone, so maybe that made me even more afraid, I don't know, until I finally got to where I wanted to get away from him. I wanted it to stop. I wanted him to leave me alone. And I finally just got away from him. I just refused to be around him. I tried not to be home if he was there. And eventually he stopped coming.
Everyone thought Grandpa was a great guy. So did I, you know, at first. But he used to bring gifts to the kids. He brought balls from the place that he worked. And he was very sociable with everyone until he got me alone. I told no one, absolutely no one, for a very long time.
They took away my childhood, my innocence, my self-esteem, and my trust. I didn't trust anyone because of what they had done. And I think I really didn't try as hard as I could because I believed I couldn't achieve very much in life. Not much at all. I just kind of went along until I was almost 40. And then I realized I didn't want it to control my life any longer. I wanted to get some help with that.
And my mother always told me, you're never going to go to college, so forget it, don't get any big ideas. I believed her too. I said, well, I'm not going to go anywhere. And for years, I believed that I really couldn't accomplish anything because I was kind of like this dirty little secret, not as good as anyone else.
So I reached out to the former Rape Crisis Center for counseling. And I started with them on a one-to-one basis, seeing a counselor. And when she felt that I was ready, I became part of an incredible group of women. And it was made up of all childhood sexual molestation survivors. And we went through a very intense 8 or 9 week program that they had designed. And we bonded and we grieved, but we grew together. It was an incredible experience. And I came away feeling a whole lot better about myself. These people actually gave me back my life. Several months ago, I happened to be looking online, and I noticed that they were forming a group and looking for abuse survivors. So I contacted Marlene Roberti and became part of this wonderful group called One Voice. And we're made up of survivors that are reaching out and trying to make a difference for others. We are trying to encourage people that have had similar experiences to talk about it. Reach out, get some help. It's never too late to take back your life.
The turning point for me and what really made me decide to write the book was when I was treated for non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. just the way people treated me during that treatment, they kind of back away as though I were contagious. And I decided when I finished, I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to make a contribution. So I decided that I would write a children's book. And I knew I had to address serious illness, and I felt that race was important. Adoption, because my daughter was adopted and she had some issues with that. I was determined to encourage children that if they were being abused, they needed to speak out, talk to an adult they could trust. It's not about me anymore. It's about all of those people out there that we can make a difference for.